A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review today, so cheers. Now today I'm looking at a book that is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. I actually read this for the first time when the films started to come out. That was when I actually read the trilogy, although I did read the second book in high school, just because I was in the library. It was on the shelf and I couldn't be bothered standing up to grab something, so I just leaned my chair back, pulled it out, and read it. Well, I say read it, I read it in bits and pieces here and there. That is Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings Part 1 by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, this is a favorite of a lot of people. A lot of people have put this on their lists of the greatest fantasy novels of all time. This set actually is from 2011. It came in this beautiful slipcase box set with The Hobbit and the 3 books of the Lord of the Rings trilogy in it. And this is a reprint of, I believe, the 2002 edition of the book. Now, why is that important? It is important because the author and fans over the years from when this was published have pointed out minor mistakes, inconsistencies, and things like that. So these editions are kind of revised where these things have been fixed up. The only reason I mention this is because I decided to actually read the foreword for this book. If you can see that, let me just turn off the light. Might be a bit easier to see. The foreword here, and boy howdy, did it give me the shits. It was so fucking stupid. I understand why they put it in there. I mean, I get it. People want to know what the mistakes are. They want to know how it was fixed. They might have read older editions and then they're coming to this one if they're diehard Tolkien fans. Yeah, that's fine. I really don't give two shits if this word was spelled incorrectly in this edition, so they fixed it for this edition. Or this character was called this, but the Elven translation was wrong, so they named it. I was about ready to rage quit reading that. But you know what? I decided to continue and reread this book and see if my opinion of it has changed since I first read it back when Fellowship of the Ring was going to be released at the cinema. So the question is, has my opinion of this book actually changed? Yes, for the better. I enjoyed this a lot more this time. The reason I enjoyed it a lot more this time is because as you're reading it, a lot of the scenes from the film are springing to mind, so you can better visualize the characters. Now, I understand that some people are going to take a little bit of offense at that, and that's okay. I don't mind. I also enjoyed comparing certain scenes from the film version to the book version. Now, I will be honest with all of you. I watched Fellowship of the Ring once when it came out at the cinema, and I fucking hated it. I really did. I absolutely despised that film. So, in light of the fact that I was rereading this, I decided to rewatch the movie, and it's actually decent. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was a fantastic fantasy film. I thought they got the characters really well. They captured everything. Middle-earth looked amazing. The cinematography was great. The music was phenomenal. I didn't give it a fair shake when I first saw it at the cinema. And that's on me. That's not on anyone else. That was just my opinion at the time. But really good film, and I look forward to rewatching Two Towers and Return of the King. Although I have seen those movies multiple times. I plan on watching them because I want to reread the books for this channel as well. There is not much I can say about this book that hasn't already been said, and if anyone is actually watching this video, you've probably read this probably multiple times, and you're just here to see what my opinion of it is. Would I recommend it? Yes. Was it better than The Hobbit? Oh, yes. Is it in the top 10 greatest fantasy books of all time? Not even close, in my opinion. It's a good book. Don't get me wrong. But there are flaws that I have seen. And these aren't flaws in the writing style or anything like that. I'm not taking a shit on Tolkien and saying his books sucked. I'm just saying, for my personal preference, there are better fantasy books out there. There are fantasy books that I enjoyed more. There are fantasy books that move at a better pace. There are fantasy books that have more engaging characters. Now, one could argue that those fantasy books wouldn't exist without this one, and yes, I agree with that, but the fact of the matter is, they do fucking exist. They are out there in the ether, and that's all there is to it. This was a phenomenal effort. It paved the way for some of the most important novels in the fantasy genre. I will not dispute that. I am just saying, now you can actually go and read better books. Okay? So I'm not going to go into a full spoiler-filled what exactly happens in the story kind of a thing, because there's no point. Everyone knows the story of Fellowship of the Ring, and if you don't, read the book or watch the movie. That's all I'm going to say. But I am going to talk about some things in the next episode of...
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
Now, before I get into this, I just want to warn you, my opinions might piss a few people off. And you might be wanting to attack me or start an argument in the comments section based on the things that I am about to say about the Fellowship of the Ring. Quite frankly, I invite you to do that. All that I ask is that you don't attack other commenters. If you want to spew hate-filled rage at me, that's perfectly fine. I don't mind. But please don't attack other people that are just commenting on the video. They don't deserve your ire or your vitriol. They are just merely voicing an opinion. So, okay, that's out of the way. Now, it's clear what the biggest differences between the film and the book are, and those are the scenes that were left out or the scenes that were shortened. The scenes that were left out were everything with Tom Bombadil, the concept of Farmer Maggot, the house at, I believe it's Crick Hollow, the council of at Rivendell, the council of Elrond, Arwen's role in the book, and pretty much the whole ending, which I understand why Peter Jackson did it. It was a bold choice, and it was the correct choice. The ending of this is good, don't get me wrong, but the way that it was shot for the films was just really good, and that's because film is a visual medium, so you kind of need that that way to end the film on kind of a high note, but also a bit of a depressing note, a la Empire Strikes Back. Now, as I said, the biggest differences are the things that I just mentioned, but the singing and the descriptions of travel. Now, I bring these up because these are the two biggest things that pissed me off while reading this book. The singing is just fucking ridiculous. Every character in this book, it's like they're auditioning for Britain's Got Talent. There's even a scene where the three hobbits, Pippin, Sam, and Frodo, when they arrive at the house in Crick Hollow, which, for those of you that don't know, Frodo needed an excuse to sell Bag End and leave the Shire, so he made this fake thing where he bought a house and he sent Merry off to furnish it with his other guy and whatever, and they travel. They're being pursued by the Dark Riders, or the Ring Wraiths, or whatever we want to call them. And when they finally get to Creek Hollow, Merry goes, I've got baths set up for you. And then they all go into this room, and the three of them have bath together. They're in separate bathtubs. And Pippin starts singing Bilbo's favourite bath time song, which I want to say so much about it. But I will just leave it to the immortal words of Kevin Smith.
They're not gay. They're hobbits.
So everyone just sings. It gets tiresome. It is frustrating. It's annoying, especially when you don't have the sheet music, so you don't know how the tune is supposed to go. So you're reading it like a poem, but then you don't know if it's written in iambic pentameter or whatever, and then it just fucking slows everything down. The second issue I have is the traveling. This book reads like a fucking Lonely Planet guide to Middle-earth. It just bogs everything down. There is very little action until really they get to Moria. And yeah, even then it's what it is. It has the same pacing, the Shire, Bree, Rivendell, Moria, Lothlorien, and then the lake where they go off on their separate ways. All of the scenes that Peter Jackson kind of captured with Gandalf and Saruman and all of those are pretty much told in flashback. So in the middle of this book, we get this whole lot of flashback scenes. It worked well in the story. It helped with the kind of timeline and everything. So I appreciated that, but I think Peter Jackson did a better job of telling those stories in the film version. And at the end, Frodo and Sam go off one way and the others are left doing their thing. And of course, through the whole book, Gollum is there, but you don't really see him. He's just kind of in the background. And that's it. Everything else is just Lord of the Rings. Frodo wears the ring, turns invisible, the one ring to rule them all. The eye can see him. He's on Weathertop, he gets stabbed, all that shit happens. But yeah, there's really nothing else to say about A Fellowship of the Ring that hasn't already been said. I'm sure there are more comprehensive reviews out there that go into the history and what J.R.R. Tolkien accomplished and what he was trying to accomplish and what we now as a modern society and culture can get from the lessons in this book. I don't give a shit about all of that. I just wanted to read a good story. It's a good story. I did enjoy it. I have my gripes with it, but I have my gripes with a lot of things. Doesn't detract from it. Would I recommend this? Yes, of course. It's an important book. I'm not saying it's not. But yeah, if you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. If you want to watch the movie, watch the movie. If you want to play the video games, play the video games. That's it. Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings Part 1 by J.R.R. Tolkien. In the future, I will, of course, be reviewing The Two Towers and Return of the King, just to make sure I have completed everything. Out of the three books, I believe when I first read it, Return of the King was my favourite. We will see if that has changed. So, yeah, there you have it. That is today's book review. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Remember, don't attack anyone that is leaving comments in the comment section, but feel free to attack me. I don't mind. I'm a big boy. I can take it. But of course, please everyone, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. But most importantly, read a fucking book, people.